Guys, you won't believe who is in Universe 6. Man, this is just insane. In a totally impossible scenario, where Trunks saw his future destroyed, now he can live in peace again, and doesn't need to hide because there's no one like him in Universe 6. For the first time, we will see Trunks in the current Dragon Ball timeline, staying in it and entering future sagas. Do you want to understand all of this? But first, share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and turn on the bell. Stay until the end, because I promise you won't regret it. In the Dragon Ball Super manga, the future Trunks saga ends with an impactful and complex outcome. After the defeat of Goku Black and Zamasu, Trunks' future is destroyed by Zeno, who erases the entire timeline due to the corruption caused by Zamasu. This leaves Trunks and Mai without a home, without friends, and without a purpose. However, Whis, with Beerus' permission, offers a solution: to take Trunks and Mai to an alternate timeline, prior to the events that led to the destruction of their world. This timeline, known as Timeline 7, is a version of the future where Zamasu has not yet been corrupted, and where Trunks and Mai can live without the horrors they faced. This decision creates a new timeline, preserving the existence of Trunks and Mai but erasing the original timeline. The manga doesn't deeply detail how Trunks and Mai adapt to this new future, but it's possible to imagine that, over time, they found a new purpose. Or not. And what if I told you that all of this is a lie, and that Trunks and Mai are still in the current timeline that we know? We know that Earth from Universe 6 was restored earlier, at Beerus' own request. Therefore, the future Trunks saga takes place between the Champa arc and the Universe Survival arc, which is the Tournament of Power. The idea that future Trunks went to Universe 6 instead of being thrown into another dimension or unknown timeline opens up a huge range of possibilities that have not yet been explored by Dragon Ball's official narrative. Since his first appearance, future Trunks has always been a character marked by tragedy and the weight of a dark destiny. He carries the burden of a world devastated by the androids, the threat of Goku Black and Zamasu, and the near-total destruction caused by Zeno, the god of everything. However, imagining that he found refuge in Universe 6, a universe so close and yet so distinct from Universe 7, brings a new perspective to his story, to his development, and to the very canon of the Dragon Ball universe. In Universe 6, which is a parallel reality to Universe 7, there is no other Trunks. He would therefore be a unique individual, a warrior from an alternate timeline who arrives in a world that still preserves much of its integrity. Unlike his original universe, where time seemed doomed to destruction, Universe 6 still holds entire planets with no signs of calamity, flourishing civilizations, and an order that, despite its own struggles, has not been torn apart by wars or catastrophic apocalypses. This new home would open for Trunks a different path from the lonely suffering and endless combat against a relentless enemy. Upon arriving in Universe 6, Trunks could choose between two distinct destinies, both rich in narrative possibilities. He could decide to stay on Earth in Universe 6, a planet similar to Earth in Universe 7, but which carries its own history, culture, and challenges. There, Trunks would find a more peaceful Earth, where he could live with relative tranquility, maybe even find local allies who, although different, share the essence of humanity and the warrior spirit. In this scenario, he would have the chance to try to build a life without the constant fear of destruction, perhaps even establishing a new family and cultivating bonds that were violently ripped away from him in his original universe. On the other hand, an even more fascinating choice would be for Trunks to settle on planet Sadala, the ancestral home of the Saiyans, also located in Universe 6. Planet Sadala is rich in history and tradition, being the place where the Saiyan race was born and evolved before its dispersion and migration to planets like Vegeta in Universe 7. Living on planet Sadala would give Trunks the opportunity to deeply immerse himself in the culture and essence of the Saiyans, exploring their roots, their origins, and maybe even his genetic heritage from a completely new perspective. It would be a chance to understand more about the legacy of his race, and to develop his powers not just as a warrior from the future, but as a true son of the original Saiyan lineage. This new reality for Trunks opens the door for exciting stories, which could include his participation in future arcs on planet Sadala, where internal and external conflicts involving traditional Saiyans and new threats could be explored. Imagine Trunks interacting with other native Saiyans from the planet, perhaps confronting ancient ideas about honor, strength, and survival, or even protecting the planet from cosmic invaders seeking to control or destroy the source of Saiyan power. These confrontations could reveal new sides of Trunks' personality, showing not only his physical strength, but also his emotional maturity and his role as a natural leader. Furthermore, an arc based on Universe 6 would open doors for Trunks to participate in larger-scale events, such as a possible second tournament of power. In the first tournament, the battles between universes brought a grand dimension to the competition, showing that cosmic balance depended directly on collective effort and the individual abilities of each fighter. A second tournament of power that included Universe 6 could justify Trunks' participation as a representative of that reality, bringing an experienced warrior with a history of fighting terrible forces to face new threats and unpredictable alliances. He could fight side by side with other warriors from Universe 6, showing a unique synergy, the result of his experience from a devastated world, and adding a very rich emotional load to the competition, even though he could already have been in the first one. But this could have been a request from Beerus himself, or from Whis, to keep this information hidden, but in a second event, it would be agreed that he could participate. Another crucial point of this idea is the question of the coexistence between the two Trunks, the one from the future, coming from Universe 7 and marked by tragedies, and the young Trunks from Universe 6, who would never have gone through the same trials. Currently, the presence of multiple Zeniths creates a scenario where temporal and dimensional diversity can be accepted and respected, as long as it does not threaten the universal balance. Thus, the coexistence of two Trunks, coming from different universes, would not be a problem for the multiverse, and could be a theme explored with creativity and depth in the plot, without creating narrative paradoxes. In fact, the existence of two Zeniths allows the rules of the multiverse to be more flexible and open to multiple coexisting realities. This creates fertile ground to explore conflicts and alliances not only between universes, but also between alternative versions of the same characters. Future Trunks in Universe 6 could, therefore, become a crucial link to unify scattered elements of the Dragon Ball universe, offering at the same time a new vision of the impact of choices and battles faced in different realities. In addition to the relief of finally being able to live in peace, this new phase for Trunks could bring significant evolution to his personality. He would no longer be just the boy who saw his world destroyed and had to fight against the impossible. He would be a warrior who learned to deal with his traumas, who had the chance to find a family, a home, and maybe even the hope of building a different future. This would allow him to explore more human, deeper aspects, in a journey that combines strength and vulnerability, determination and acceptance. His journey in Universe 6 could be an inspiring example of overcoming adversity, showing that even those most marked by tragedy can find redemption and rebuild. Furthermore, the presence of Trunks in Universe 6 could rekindle important bonds with characters from Universe 7, creating opportunities for memorable encounters. For example, the possibility of a confrontation or alliance between the two Trunks, who, even coming from different realities, share traits and common stories. Or the chance for Goku, Vegeta, and the other heroes from Universe 7 to visit Universe 6 to meet Trunks, bringing to the plot an intense dialogue about past, future, sacrifice, and hope. Finally, this approach would also allow a reinterpretation of the traumatic events from Trunks' future, such as the destruction caused by Goku Black and Zamasu, the near-total annihilation of his world, and Zeno's intervention. If Trunks had escaped to Universe 6 before the final catastrophe, he could be a silent survivor who, although marked by the past, had the opportunity to rise again. This would give new meaning to his struggle and his existence, showing that even in the face of chaos, there is the possibility of reconstruction and of finding a new purpose. In short, the idea of future Trunks living in Universe 6 is a rich proposal that not only respects his original journey, but expands the Dragon Ball universe in a deep and thought-provoking way. It opens space to explore new emotional, narrative, and even philosophical dimensions about identity, destiny, strength, and hope, combined with the elements already present in Dragon Ball Super. This possibility could be the starting point for a new phase of the franchise, full of emotion, action, and discoveries. After all, what do you guys think of this idea? Insane, right? Comment down below. Anyway, future Trunks deserves to be happy. His story is very sad, and he has gone through things that the Z Warriors can't even imagine. Trunks, born in a world that faced a dark and challenging future. From a very young age, he proved to be an exceptional warrior, intensely trained by his father Vegeta, who always had pride and high expectations for his son. Trunks' childhood was marked by an environment of constant tension, as his timeline was threatened by the arrival of androids 17 and 18, who had destroyed almost all of the Z warriors and caused the death of his friends and loved ones. As a child, Trunks went through a period of training alongside his mentor and friend Gohan, the last surviving warrior in his devastated future. Gohan was a father figure to him, teaching him not only how to fight, but also values such as courage and perseverance. Unfortunately, Gohan ended up dying in combat against the androids, which awakened in Trunks an even greater rage and determination. It was at that time that he achieved the Super Saiyan transformation for the first time, a decisive moment in his journey. Determined to change the course of his tragic destiny, Trunks used the time machine built by his mother Bulma to travel to the past. His mission was to warn Goku about the heart disease that would afflict him, as well as to alert about the rise of the killer androids. Upon arriving in the past, he not only completed his mission, but also surprised everyone by revealing his Super Saiyan form, quickly defeating Frieza and his father, King Cold, who had returned to terrorize Earth. This moment was marked as one of the greatest displays of strength and courage of the young Saiyan. After delivering the medicine to Goku and warning the Z warriors, Trunks returned to his future, hopeful that the information and preparations could change his world. However, his journey created a new alternative timeline, leaving his original future in an even more critical situation. Back in his time, he continued fighting against the androids, trying to protect what was left of humanity. Later, Trunks would face an even greater threat: Goku Black, a dark entity that terrorized his future and destroyed everything around him. This fight became one of the hardest of his life, as he needed the help of Goku and Vegeta, who also traveled to his timeline to fight this threat. During this saga, Trunks revealed new transformations, including a Super Saiyan Rage form, which reflected all his anger and desire to protect his world. Despite the battles and losses, Trunks kept his courage and hope alive. After the defeat of Goku Black and Zamasu, the timeline was partially restored, but Trunks' future still went through difficulties. At a certain point, Zeno, the god of everything, decided to erase Trunks' original timeline due to the corruption caused by Zamasu. However, with the help of Whis and Beerus, Trunks and his friend Mai were transported to a new timeline, where they could live in peace, far from the threats that haunted them. Throughout his story, Trunks evolved from a desperate boy to a mature warrior who carries not only the legacy of the Saiyans, but also the hope of rebuilding his world. He is a character who symbolizes resilience, courage, and the ability to face the impossible, always fighting for a better future for everyone around him. His journey is marked by sacrifices and battles, but also by growth and redemption, making him one of the most beloved and complex figures in the Dragon Ball universe.